discussion regarding adding certain positions to Peabody special municipal employees in these various commissions. So I just wanted to start off that the first item is, as I mentioned, the purchase and sale agreement for 69 Granite Road. City's looking to move forward with its intent to purchase the 6.5-acre parcel located at that location, which its intended use is to be just for open space. Total purchase price is $127,900, with $112,900 for the land and another $15,000 for the closing and recording of the deed. Councilors may recall that the City Councilors voted at the September 9th meeting to transfer the funds for this purchase from the Community Preservation Committee Open Space Fund for funding this. The final step is for the council to discuss the purchase and sale and to authorize the mayor to sign the purchase and sale agreement. So we're joined here by His Honor Mayor Betancourt, and he's here this evening to answer any questions and to just kind of give a quick overview. Welcome, Mayor Betancourt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening to you. Good evening, councilors. Hope everybody's doing well. Yes, I'm here today with our Community Development Director, Kurt Bellavance, who's been spearheading this. Councilor O'Neill said it well. This is a project or a transaction I think you're familiar with, having voted previously in terms of authorizing the funds for this purchase from the community preservation. But this is just an opportunity for us to purchase some open space. This particular parcel is a developable parcel, so there potentially could be houses put in there, cul-de-sacs, things of that nature. The last purchase we did, that land was not developable. This one is, which I think is the reason for a little bit of a higher value, $122,000. Through Kurt, Mr. Bellavance, we were able to work with the owner of the property and come up with the price, which is the assessor's value for this location. You have the property card from 69 Granite Road, as well as the proposed purchase and sale agreement. I think with the authorization, in order to sign the purchase and sale agreement, we'd be able to close on this very quickly. I know a lot of the work has already been completed. This would just be the final step in order to effectuate this transaction and complete this and add some more open space to South Peabody, which would be great. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I can certainly get into more detail, but I think everybody's familiar with this, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mayor Betancourt. Any questions or comments from the committee members? Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief, but I just wanted to remind the council this is the same area that Mr. Delp came here and spoke to us about, and fortunately, hopefully everybody knows this, but the mayor had authorized the work to take place to correct the flooding issues in front of Mr. Delp's house and Mr. Williams that came from pretty much this area. So to see 6.5 acres remain unbuildable and prevent any further issues down from Mountain Terrace and Granite Road is a great thing. So I just wanted to say thank you to the mayor, and let the council know that this is a continuation of correcting long-standing issues for those residents.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Any other committee members? Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I will also be brief. Very supportive of advancing this. I think it's a great opportunity to acquire some additional open space for South Peabody, and if Mr. Chairman, you're looking for a motion, I'd be ready to make that.
Thank you, Councilman McGinn. I just want to double check. Any other committee members, council members have any questions? Thank you, Councilman McGinn. At this time, I'd entertain the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to authorize His Honor the Mayor to enter into a purchase and sale agreement for the property located at 69 Granite Road. So moved.
Thank you, Councilman McGinn. You've heard the motion, councilors. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Councilors Rossignol.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to update the list of special municipal employees. The material in your package contained the boards and commissions that the mayor is proposing having add to this list of special municipal employees. And at this time, I'd like to have Mayor Betancourt give a brief overview of what he's hoping to do with this agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, good evening, Council. This is just some housekeeping that came up a few months back regarding some boards and commissions that are not listed on our list of special municipal employees. Children's Museum Board certainly is brand new. The Commission on Disability now is a couple of years old. The Conservation Commission, which surprised me that the Conservation Commission wasn't on this list because the Conservation Commission has been around for some time. But I learned that it was a part of the Planning Board years ago and that likely it was never updated to include the Conservation Commission. And then the Cultural Council. Those are the only other boards and commissions of volunteers that are not listed under special municipal employees. So I just wanted to bring that forward so that all of our books are kind of up to date and all the boards and commissions, those lists are up to date as well. Happy to answer any questions on this.
Thank you, Mayor Betancourt. Any comments or questions from committee members? Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the mayor, I'm supportive of taking this step. And I appreciate the fact that you included the definition in here. It's been a while since we did this. I think the last time it was in 2017. One of the things that jumped out at me, however, in the definition was the designation of the special municipal employee. It is the municipal position that is designated as having special status, not the individual. So when I looked at the list that already has been established, there's 3 listed on there that have people's names next to them. And that includes the most recent one, which was that one I made reference to in 2017, Veterans Agent Steve Patton. But there's also outside counsel to community development attorney Charles Leray and counsel for municipal light Phil Durkin. I don't think he's in that position anymore. So I don't want to hold up tonight's advancing what you're trying to do tonight to add to the list, but I think we might want to go back and clean up the list as well for at least for these 3. And I think it might be as simple as, in the case of the veterans agent and counsel for the Peabody Municipal Light, just dropping the name from the list so that we're not in conflict with the definition. And then I guess checking with community development if that position even exists anymore. Outside counsel to community development, I've never encountered that as long as I've been on the council, so I'm not sure that needs to be on the list anymore. So that would be my suggestion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Yeah, I do. That name is not familiar to me, Charles LeRae. I certainly, I think all of, or many of us know Attorney Phil Durkin, and yeah, either he's, yeah, I think, I'm not sure exactly if he's still working for PMLP, but it's, I'm not sure why those 2 names are listed there. Steve Patton, you may recall, he was listed, we came, because we were actually a little bit of a dilemma, weren't sure what to do. When Steve Patton joined us, he was a prosecutor. He had come over from Essex County District Attorney's Office for District Attorney Jonathan Blodgett. There were a couple of cases that he'd been working on that he wanted to finish, some real specific specialized areas of that he was prosecuting. And so we were trying to figure out a way to do this, and that's actually recommended to us by the Ethics Commission as a way to allow him, even though he's an employee here, to take care of some remaining cases. I don't think those ended up going to trial. They were pled out, but that was why we included him. That's probably something we could take out all as well. You know, maybe, as you said, list the veterans agent to still keep that position, but remove the name. So I'm all in favor of that. To me, that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, I can maybe bring that back as a follow-up to remove those 3. But that was why Steve Patton, that was just specific to some cases that, when he joined us, were still lingering at the District Attorney's Office.
Thank you, Mayor Betancourt, for that background. And thank you, Councilman McGinn. That's a great notice. I saw that, too, on the list, that there were not only older names, but there shouldn't be individual names. So we could, do, you know, something to do that to clean it up. But At this time, are there any other questions from community members? Other councilors? Councilor Manning Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I recall that as well through you to the mayor. Mayor, I recall that as well, why Attorney Patton needed to continue to assist John Blodgett's office, so that the request was made to make him a special employee in order for him to do that. But I also recall at the time the discussion was that when those cases were completed, that it would no longer be necessary. So is he still continuing to do any side legal work? Or, because my concern was that he be a full-time veterans agent, which I do believe he certainly is. But is there any need for him to continue to have that status since those cases are over and we need a full-time veterans agent?
I think you're right, Counsel. I think that was what was discussed. And I do not believe he's doing any legal work right now, but I'll just double check that to see if there is something still lingering. But I think you're right. I think that was what we had discussed at the time, and I think it makes sense to take him off. But let me check with him just to confirm that, and then I can bring that forward to the council to just have those 3 items removed.
Thank you, Councilman Martin. You have another comment, question?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. That is how I recall it. I appreciate that. And my concern is, I mean, he does such a great job. He does a lot of work. I'm sure he's working full-time. So in addition to striking individual names from these lists, as the law states not to do that, to list the names, my concern is in the future, if we kept the veterans agent and then we had another attorney in there or somebody else with a lucrative other profession, we wouldn't have a full-time, to leave the door open that we would lose a full-time veterans agent and they would be doing side work because they're on this special employee list. So that's my concern. It's not necessarily specific to Steve Patton, of course, because I'm pretty much one of his biggest fans, so it is not specific to him. It is the position and the future of the office. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That makes sense to me. Thank you, Counsel.
Thank you, Councilor Manning Martin. Any other comments or questions from councilors? Sorry, Councilor Daigle?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm hiding in the corner over here. Quick question I think to the mayor. The Trust Fund Commission, what do they do and are they still active?
I've been, mayor now 10 years. I was counsel before that. I don't know what that is. It's not an active board. We haven't brought forth any appointments for that trust fund in years. I believe that it was related to J.B. Thomas. When J.B. Thomas closed, there was some funding that was kind of shared between the city and J.B. Thomas. So there was a fund or a group that was put together in order to figure out how to handle those funds. So, Councilor Gamache, that's my recollection, but it's not been an active board probably in at least 20 years.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I think it might also, just from my history as treasurer, I think it might tie to some scholarship trust funds that were very active in the past that now are kind of self-regulating, but I just wanted to check in. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Daigle, and certainly that we'll just add to the list of items we want to clean up for this, for the city's list. So with no further questions or discussion, I'd entertain a motion that the city move to add the positions of Children's Museum Board, Commission on Disability, Conservation Commission, Council on Aging, and Cultural Council to the list of positions of special municipal employees.
So moved, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman McGinn. Councilors, you've heard the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Rossignol.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, councilors.
Thank you, Mayor Betancourt. At this time, that concludes our agenda. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
On the motion, any discussion? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.
I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Peabody City Council Finance Committee. Present for the committee this evening are Councilors Gamache, Gould, Manning Martin, Turco, and myself as chair. Also present, Councilors Welton, Peach, Daigle, O'Neill, Rosignol, and City Council President Melville. We have one item on the agenda this evening. Additional bond order, Welsh School renovation project in an amount of $3,458,193. Presenting this evening is His Honor the Mayor. Also present to address any questions the committee or councils may have are Purchasing Agent Mr. Doucette, Superintendent of Schools Dr. Vidala, Director of Finance Mrs. Gingras, and then joining us via Zoom are Christina D'Angelo from Durham-Whittier, Michael Burton from Durham-Whittier, Todd McCabe from Consigley Construction, and school committee member Beverly Ann Griffin-Dunn, who is chair of the Welsh School Building Committee. With that, as introduction, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening to you. Good evening, councilors. Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for introducing the team. We're here certainly to answer any questions that come our way. Certainly costs have increased. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody in terms of where we stand with the Welsh School project. The good news is the Welsh School project is fully underway. We had a site visit earlier this week, and it was great to see the school buzzing with activity, construction going on, but we really got a good feel from the teachers and the students that things are going well over there and not interfering with their day-to-day learning. So it was a great visit, and to start to see some of the work come together is pretty amazing. So we're looking at still probably another 12 to 14 months of work over there. Out of the typical 400 students we have at the Welsh School, there are 230 in the building right now. The other 4th and 5th grade is kind of dispersed to the different schools across the city. But so far, things have gone very well, and we got a great feeling and great reports back from the principal, the administration, teachers, and students over there, which was great to hear. The unfortunate part is because of where the economy is right now, inflation in the construction market has caused the bids to come in at a higher cost. Mr. Doucette can certainly break that down, the process, as well as Mr. Gingras in terms of how those bids came in and the process we went through. But they have increased to the number of $458,193. The school committee has voted to approve this additional cost and to move forward the request of the City Council, which is in front of you here tonight. The additional amount combined with the original bond order brings the total project cost to $33,432,014. We do have the reimbursement of available cost to us of 63.33%, which is certainly a significant help to making this project a reality. But this is going to be a project I think all of you know about to a certain degree. Councilor McGinn and Councilor Melville serve on the committee. They've certainly been attending the meetings and are up to date as well. But certainly this wasn't unexpected. We were hoping for the best, but the costs, and particularly a few of the trades, has significantly increased. Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back to you. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I think probably the members of our team here tonight, with our superintendent, our finance team, and then our owner's project manager and the contractor can certainly answer the questions better than I.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Questions from the committee? Questions from other councilors? Councilor Melville.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If it's possible, I'd ask Mr. Doucette. He's been with us on this committee, as you know, and I just kind of want to get a flavor of, and I think it's important to note, this is not an issue that is solely something that City of Peabody is dealing with while doing a school construction, and also maybe some of the decisions that were made maybe earlier on that might be alleviating what this cost could have been if the economy wasn't where it is today. I think he can summarize it in a pretty good way.
Mr. Doucette.
Thank you, councilors. I think as part of the process, a lot of which is driven by the MSBA, we do have important decisions that are made at the local level. The first was to use CM at risk as the construction delivery method. As opposed to design, bid, build, you partner with a construction management firm to help us through early stages of the process through to the end. The committee and the building committee made a very good choice, I think, in a larger firm that had resources available to them that came to a benefit during this very unusual and unexpected change in the market. So what that did was the combination of the flexibility that you have with CM at risk and a good contractor partnering with you helped to mitigate some of the expenses that we could have seen to be even worse than they were when we got the final numbers. We did get some trades over budget significantly, but some trades with particularly some contractors that know the city of Peabody from prior work came in right on budget. So I think compared to other districts that are in the process of doing building construction, we have structured our request in such a way that it is less than what other districts have seen, but unfortunately, we are not immune from the forces of the market in these days of the economy. No way when we were selecting CM firms did we ever anticipate something like this, but the process allowed us through that to really get to a good number that we're at today.
Thank you,
Council
Mr.
Melville.
Thank you, Mr. Doucette. And just comment that, you know, I'm close to this project, see it every day, and I can tell you that the work is happening 7 days a week. So they did get permission from the building inspector to work on within the hours on Sunday. It's been mostly the non-intrusive work that's occurring, but you can tell by there is progress being made. You know, unfortunately, this is kind of where we're at with where inflation is hitting us right now. But I think this is a great project, and I think every effort is being made to have the project come in at the original price or as close to it as possible. So I appreciate your work and all the help and advice we've gotten from the entire committee, which is, I think, trying to get this project where it needs to be. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Council Melville. Any other councilors? Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And going through a process similar to this with the Higgins, I understand the economy that we're in. Is the state picking up any extra funding where this is a partnership with the MSBA?
Mr. Doucette.
We won't know that until we go in for something called the GMP, which is the guaranteed minimum price. However, when the MSBA grants a district its a project funding agreement, some of those things are locked in place. And even if we knew there were extra money coming from the MSBA, they require a vote on the entire budget ahead of time, much as with the original vote for the 20-some-odd million of the original budget. We have to bond for the entirety, and then we get reimbursed back. I don't know, Mike probably could speak to that.
Yeah, that's correct. What's before you allows us to continue the contracts with the contractor, and it really is an appropriation of $29 million plus the $3 million for the total cost, and then we'll get reimbursed up to $17 million at least, maybe some more, and then we can determine how much we're going to bond and maybe use some other sources of revenue.
Thank you. That was the one concern that I had, and I understand where we are, and I understand the need to continue to move this project forward, and I understand our role is to bond for the entirety with us seeking reimbursement from the state and from the MSBA as the project moves forward. My fear was seeing that they almost have like a hard cap of the $17 million, that
I have a feeling that this may, you may be coming back before us again as this process continues if the economy stays the way it is. And I just want to make sure that there's an avenue that we can continue to at least attempt to get more money from the MSBA if this continues to change moving forward in the project. So it was great to hear from you, Mr. Doucette, that there is a way to at least go before the MSBA to at least explain why we would need them to kick in more funding. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rosendahl. Point of information, I don't think there's a mechanism to come back for more after this. I think we're at a stage where it's a guaranteed maximum amount, but I'd rather have that come from, perhaps Dora Whittier could comment on that, where we are in that process with the MSBA. Could we have Mike Burton, could you comment on that, please?
Hello, everybody. Yes, unfortunately, we are locked in with the project scope and funding agreement. Unfortunately, the grant amount from the MSBA cannot be increased at this time.
Thank you, Mike. And in terms of risk, Councilor Rossignol suggested there might be some risk going forward of additional increases. I don't believe that's possible at this point, but can you confirm that, please?
I would agree with that.
Councilor Rossignol.
You would agree with what specifically?
I'm sorry?
That question is to you, Mike. Councilor Rossignol is asking for clarification on what you're agreeing with.
So once the bond amount is set at project scope and funding agreement, it cannot be increased. So any overages, unfortunately, are on the district side.
So what would the likelihood of more overages be coming down the pike?
Very unlikely. We are at GMP, guaranteed maximum price, and we are about to move forward with that. So we think we are in a great place right now, and so very unlikely.
So just to be clear, through the CM at risk and through the bid process, all contracts and subcontracts are all now set in more or less stone for the entirety of the project?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burton. Thank you, Councilor Rossignol. Other councilors? Seeing none, a couple of quick comments from me. I think since the original bond order that was supported by the council in November of 2021, we've all seen the impact of inflation and supply chain issues and labor shortages, what that's done to the economy. So while this increase is unfortunate, it's really not, it shouldn't be surprising to anyone. I think that Mr. Doucette alluded to this, but from my perspective, the increase could have been worse if not for the efforts of our owner's project manager, that's Dora Whittier. We have two representatives of Dora Whittier in the meeting with us today, and Consigli Construction. In the meetings that took place over the summer, it looked like the increase could have been as much as $4.8 million. But over the 2-week period in late August, the team was able to trim that to the $3.5 million that's before us tonight. So as Mr. Doucette indicated, that has to do with the size of the entities that we're dealing with on our behalf. That kind of reinforces some of the good decisions that were made to go with Dornwood and Consigli because of the strength they have in the market to help drive some of these prices down and act in the city's best interest. So while this $3.5 million is significant, it is absolutely necessary to advance the important project, and I'm 100% supportive of the adjustment. I would ask if Mr. Gingras could come back up for just one moment. Mr. Gingras, in your commentary, you talked about us needing to authorize the bond for the total amount and the appropriation, but you also mentioned potential of using alternative funding sources. So I just want the council to be clear that nothing that we're doing tonight precludes the possibility of using other sources such as ARPA funds, that's we still would have the flexibility to do that going forward, even by taking this action this evening.
Yeah, that's correct. This is an authorization to spend and an authorization to borrow up to this amount, but we don't necessarily have to borrow up to that amount. But we do need the authorization to spend.
Thank you, Mr. Gingras. I think that's important for councilors to understand that although we're authorizing this total amount, that doesn't necessarily mean we'll be bonding this total amount. That money could potentially come from another source, and that the MSBA is now has established a policy that they won't consider that third-party funding. They won't consider ARPA money, for example, a third-party funding source, so they won't decrease their award amount to the city if we chose to utilize ARPA funding. And perhaps, Mr. Burton, you could just kind of confirm that for the council.
Yes, sir. So the MSBA has changed their stance from third-party funding or ARPA, ESSER, whatever. They will absolutely allow that, and that will not be taken against your grant, your total grant amount.
Thank you, Mr. Burton. With that, what is the will of the committee? Council Gould.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion if it's okay by you.
Yeah, please proceed.
Make a motion to advertise a second bond order for the Welch School improvements, and I'm going to read at length the language. Be it ordered by the City Council of the City of Peabody that the City of Peabody appropriate the amount of $3,458,193 in addition to the $29,973,821 previously approved by vote of this council for the purpose of paying costs of the addition and renovation project to the existing William A. Welch School located at 50 Swampscott Avenue, Peabody, Massachusetts, including the payment of all costs incidental or related thereto for which the school facility shall have an anticipated useful life as an educational facility for the instruction of school children for at least 50 years and for which the City of Peabody may be eligible for a grant under the Massachusetts School Building Authority, MSBA, said amount to be expended under the direction of the City of Peabody Welch Elementary School Building Committee. To meet this appropriation, the city treasurer is authorizing to borrow said amount under the Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, pursuant to any other enabling authority. The City of Peabody acknowledges that the MSBA's grant program is a non-entitlement discretionary program based on need as determined by the MSBA, and for the project and any project costs the City of Peabody incurs in excess of any grant approved by, and that any grant the City of Peabody may resolve under the MSBA for the projects shall not exceed the lesser of 163.33% of approved project costs as determined by the MSBA, or 2, the total maximum grant amount determined by the MSBA, and that the amount of borrowing authorized pursuant to the vote shall be reduced by any grant amount set forth in the project funding agreement that may be executed between the City of Peabody and the MSBA, and that this order shall be adopted as advertised and read. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Councilors, you heard the motion by Councilor Gould to advertise the bond order on the motion. Seeing none, roll call.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Gamache. Turco.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
This time I'll accept the motion to adjourn. We stand adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
We're going to get started in 2 minutes. Good evening. We're going to get started. Good evening. The City Council will convene on Thursday, October 13th, to hold a regular meeting at 7:30 p.m. for the purpose of discussing any and all business via in-person or remote participation in accordance with Chapter 48 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Sections 20A, B, and C of the Acts of 2021, signed into law by the Governor on June 16th, 2021. Alternative public access to this meeting shall be provided in the following manner. 1. This meeting is being televised by Peabody Access Television on cable channel 9. 2. Real-time public comment during public hearings can be addressed to the Peabody City Council using the Zoom virtual meeting software for remote access. Users may view the meeting and make a comment or question to the chair via the audio option. Please visit www.peabody-ma.gov for Zoom information. This meeting is being taped by Peabody Access Television and is also being recorded by the City Council stenographer. Please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. President, move to accept late communication number 1.
You heard the motion from Councilor Gould to accept late communication number 1. It's a correction to the record. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Okay, councilors, if there's no objection, I would move to item 7A, communications from His Honor the Mayor for various appointments and reappointments. Can I get a motion to receive? You heard the motion from Councilor Gamache. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Mayor Betancourt.
Good. Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening to you. Good evening, councilors. Hope everybody's doing well. I appreciate you taking me at the beginning of the meeting. I know you have a lengthy agenda tonight, I believe, so I appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to speak first. I have a number of appointments in front of you. A number of these are reappointments. However, there are two, the last two on the sheet that we have new members that are here today that I wanted to take a moment to introduce you to. Very fortunate. We're always looking for people who care for the city, that are willing to volunteer, and more and more difficult sometimes to, because people are so busy, to get candidates that are interested in serving. And I think we have two excellent candidates that I want to bring forward today to two real key, crucial positions, and I wanted to introduce them now. The first is Elvis Perez. I'd like to move to appoint him to the Park and Recreation Commission. I know many of you know Elvis, a longtime Peabody resident, and very active in the community. He's coached a number of sports with his 3 children, and works at MGH, and is just a credit to our city, and very interested in having him serve. I think he'll offer a lot to the Park and Rec Commission, which is an active board, a lot of things happening. So I wanted to bring Mr. Perez forward. He is here today, certainly available to say a few words or answer any questions, but I'd like to bring Mr. Perez forward for appointment.
Mr. President, you want to come forward and introduce yourself?
Good evening, all. My name is Elvis Perez. I live here in Peabody, and have a wonderful wife and 3 lovely children. So I'm looking forward to, if appointed, to serving into the community. Okay.
Thank you. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm thrilled that Mr. Perez is being brought forth by the mayor. Mr. Perez's personality is all about collegiality and teamwork, and there's nothing better to bring the city up even higher than it is. So congratulations. Thank you for doing this, Elvis. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other council? Councilor Walton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to echo the sentiments of the mayor and Councilor Gould, and just thank Mr. Perez. He's got a very busy job and a very active family, and for him to make the time for this is wonderful. I've had the chance to know Elvis for a number of years, and like Councilor Gould had said, he really cares tremendously about the community, and he'll be a great asset to us. So I'm looking forward to the vote, and wish him the best of luck.
Thank you, Councilor Walton. Any other councilors? Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, do we want to take this vote specifically? Councilor Gould, would you want to make the motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the mayor's appointment of Mr. Elvis Perez to the Parks and Recreation. So moved.
You heard the motion from Councilor Gould. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Peach.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Gamache. Turco.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Motion carries 11 to 0.
Thank you for serving. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that appointment, and I'm very proud to bring forward another appointment that I think will be a great contributor to our city, Mr. Mark Perlman. Mark is a lifelong Peabody resident, comes from a Peabody family. He has a legal background, having worked at the Mass Commission Against Discrimination for a number of years until recently joining the Reed Law Firm, which is a local law firm. Mark had expressed interest in serving our community and to offer what he can to our community, which I was very grateful for. And I think he'd be a tremendous addition to the planning board, which, as all of you know, handles a number of topics, very difficult decisions and issues. And I think Mark and his background would be a great addition to the board. So Mark is here also, and certainly I can bring him forward to say hello.
Hello, my name is Mark Perlman. I want to thank the mayor for this appointment. As he said, I'm a lifelong Peabody resident. I look forward to hopefully working with all of you, and serving on the planning board. I think it'll be a great way for me to, give back to the community and serve the residents of Peabody. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Councilor Gamache.
I've known Mark since Kylie school days. I coached him in basketball. I'm glad to see you're still a member of the Peabody Society, that we've all come to us lifers. I'm glad to see you stuck around Peabody, and I hope the family's doing well, and it's a great appointment. It's a busy board, so I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Any other councilors? Seeing none, Councilor Gamache, want to make the motion for the appointment?
Yes, it is my pleasure to appoint or ask to be appointed Mark Perlman, 4 Emily Lane, Peabody, Mass, to the Planning Board for a term that expires 12/31/2023. So moved.
You heard the motion from Councilor Gamache. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Peach.
Yes.
Welton. O'Neill.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Gamache. Turco.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Motion carries 11 to 0.
Thank you for serving.
Okay, thank you, Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Do you want to finish these?
Yeah, I was going to ask Councilor if you could go through and just do the
at
rest
this
of the
time,
appointments.
under the provisions powers vested in the mayor, he was hereby submit for the council's approval the appointment of the following named individual to the position as defined. Stuart Lazaz, Conservation Commission, term to expire 9/30/25. Kelly Bloom, Cultural Council, 12/31/23. Lisa Green, Cultural Council, 12/31/23. Tara Lejeune, Cultural Council, 12/31/2023. Kelly Lamazny, Cultural Council, 12/31/23. Julie Murphy, Cultural Council, 12/31/23. Kelly Rzuski, Cultural Council, 12/31/23. So moved.
You heard the motion from Councilor Gamache. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Peach.
Yes.
Welton. O'Neill.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Gamache. Turco.
Yes.
Daigle. Melville.
Yes.
Motion carries 11 to 0.
All right, council, we're going to move back to the agenda. There were no hearings, so we're on reports of committee. We don't have the committee of the whole motions or amendments prepared yet, so that will be in our next packet, and we'll do a report of committee at that time. Moving on to the Legal Affairs Committee, Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Legal Affairs Committee met earlier this evening to discuss two topics. The committee members, Councilors Rosenall, Peach, McGinn, and Turco were all there. We're also joined by all of our fellow councilors. The first item we discussed, well, actually, we were joined by Mayor Betancourt to discuss the topic of in purchase of 69 Granite Road, which is, we were in the process of trying to purchase, which is a 6.5 acre parcel, which is intended to be used as open space. Councilors McGinn and Councilors Turco, as well as Mayor Betancourt, talked about how important this purchase is, not only for its proximity to other open space that the city currently possesses, but that this will help potentially with preventing any future drainage issues that have happened in that area. And it's just great to have a 6.5 acre parcel come to us. The total purchase price is $127,900, with $112,900 for the actual land and another $15,000 for the closing and recording of the deed. At this time, the full committee voted 5-0 to approve the mayor to sign the purchase and sale agreement. And at this time, I'd bring forth the motion, which is move that the Peabody City Council authorize Mayor Betancourt to execute the purchase and sale agreement for 69 Granite Road. So moved.
You heard the motion from Councilor O'Neill. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Peach.
Yes.
Welton. O'Neill.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Turco.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. The other item on our agenda was an update to a list of special municipal employees. Mayor Betancourt appeared for this portion of the meeting, too, to give us an overview of the requested boards and commissions that we want to have, or he would like to have added to the listing of special municipal employees. As was discussed, the actual members of these committees or commissions are not named. It's the actual boards, and that the positions are added under the definition of a special municipal employee. And the boards that are before us are the Children's Museum Board, the Conservation Commission, Commission on Disability, Council on Aging, and the Cultural Council. So there was a discussion about it, and there was a unanimous vote 5-0 in full support of moving this forward to add these commissions and boards to the listing of the city's list of special municipal employees. So at this time, I'd move the motion forward for the full council. Be it ordered by the City Council of the City of Peabody as follows: that the following list of boards and commissions of the City of Peabody be and are hereby classified as special municipal employees with reference to the Conflict of Interest Law, Chapter 268A of the General Laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, effective October 13th, 2022. The boards are Children's Museum Board, Conservation Commission, Commission on Disability, Council on Aging, Cultural Council. So moved.
You heard the motion from Councilor O'Neill. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Peach.
Yes.
Welton. O'Neill.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Gamache. Turco.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes my report of committee.
Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. Moving on to the Finance Committee meeting, Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee of the Peabody City Council met earlier this evening. Present for the committee were Councilors Gamache, Gould, Manning, Martin, Turco, and myself as chair. Also present were Councilors Welton, Peach, Daigle, O'Neill, Rossignol, and Council President Melville. We had one item on the agenda this evening, which was the additional bond order for the Welsh School renovation project in the amount of $3,458,193. This was presented to the committee by His Honor the Mayor, and essentially with an explanation that inflation in construction and market caused bids to come in over the initial projections and requiring an additional bond order for the amount just noted. The school committee had voted to approve these additional costs and move the request forward to the city council for an appropriation and adoption. Present to address council's questions were purchasing agent Mr. Doucette, superintendent Dr. Vidala, director of finance Mr. Gingras, and via Zoom we had Christina D'Angelo from the owner's project manager, Doran Whittier, Mike Burton from Doran Whittier, Todd McCabe from Kinsigley Construction, and Beverly Ann Griffin Dunn, who is school committee person as well as the chair of the Wells School Building Committee. Councilors were asked questions of specifically to Mr. Doucette, who provided some context for the relative increases and reiterated that some of the decisions that had been made by the committee and subsequently the school committee and the city council to go with the CM at risk approach versus design bid build had served the city well in keeping these increases to a minimum given the situation we're faced in the economy today. Also, some of the questions from Councilor Rossignol and others were addressed by the owner's project manager, Mike Burton of Doran Whittier. After all questions were addressed, there was a motion by Councilor Gould. Actually, also there was some, excuse me, just some back up a moment. There was also some commentary by Director of Finance, Mr. Gingras, indicating that although we are taking this step, that does not preclude the possibility of utilizing other funding sources outside of bonding, specifically OPER or ESSER funds, which would not cause the MSBA under their revised policy to lower any reimbursements committed to the city. And with that, there was a motion made by Councilor Gould as follows: to advertise Peabody City Council, City of Peabody, second bond order for Wells School improvements, be it ordered by the City Council for the City of Peabody, that the City of Peabody appropriate the amount of $3,458,193 in addition to the $29,973,821 previously authorized by vote of this council for the purpose of paying costs of the addition and renovation project of the existing William A. Wells School located at 50 Swampscott Ave, Peabody, Massachusetts, including the payment of all costs incidental or related thereto, and for which the school facility shall have an anticipated useful life as an educational facility for the instruction of school children for at least 50 years, and for which the City of Peabody may be eligible for a grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, MSBA, said amount to be expended under the direction of the City of Peabody Welsh Elementary School Building Committee. To meet this appropriation, the city treasurer is authorized to borrow said amount under Master General Law, Chapter 44, or pursuant to any other enabling authority. The City of Peabody City of Peabody acknowledges that the MSBA's grant program is not an entitlement discretionary program based on need as determined by the MSBA, and that any project cost the City of Peabody incurs in excess of the grant approved by the approved by and received from the MSBA shall be the sole responsibility of the City of Peabody, provided further that any grant of the City of Peabody may receive from the MSBA for the project shall not exceed the lesser of 163.33% of the approved project cost as determined by the MSBA, or 2, the total maximum grant amount determined by the MSBA, and that the amount of borrowing authorized pursuant to the vote shall be reduced by any grant amount set forth in the project funding agreement that may be executed between the City of Peabody and the MSBA, and that this order be adopted and advertised as read. Mr. President, that motion passed the committee unanimously, and I now bring it for consideration of the full council. So moved.
You heard the motion from Councilor McGinn. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Gould.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Yes. Peach.
Yes.
Welton. O'Neill.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Gamache. Turco.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Motion carries 11 to 0.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. That completes the report.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Moving on to item 6, motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any motions, but Allison and Colleen, do we still do celebratory 100-woman resident is turning 100? Can we do a citation of some sort?
Clerk Danforth.
I have not done one,
Okay.
so I don't, is that something Tim did?
I thought
Colleen
it was.
seems to think the mayor's office does
The mayor's
something.
office? Okay. All right, I'll check the mayor's office, and if I need help, I'll call you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Turco, did you have something you wanted to?
Just wanted to add, not to throw you under the bus, but Tim did do two for me, so I don't know who does it, but
Get it. We'll get it done. Thank you. No further motions, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilor Rozignol.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 8F, so moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rozignol.
No further motions. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Rozignol. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any motions, but I will be setting up a public safety, municipal safety meeting Thursday, October 27th, and the subject matter I've been coordinating with Representative Tom Walsh to present on the upgrades and progress on the safety improvements of Route 114, and he has been in communication with Mass DOT to put forward a presentation that night. So just put that out there to the public and my colleagues. It'll be Thursday, October 27th at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Mr. President. No motions this evening.
Thank you, Councilor Peach. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to request Peabody Police Department to assess a possible ordinance change for an accessible parking spot in front of 1 Arnold Road. So moved.
Heard the motion from Councilor Welton. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed to the vote? Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to request the Department of Public Services place a stop sign at the top of Ralph Road intersecting Pearl Street, or Pearl Road. So moved.
Heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to request Department of Public Services to, to place a not a throughway sign at the bottom of Ralph Road at the intersection of Linfield Street. So moved.
Heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
No further motions this evening. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of rules, move to receive item 8A and refer it to the Aggregate Industries Committee. So moved.
Heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. No motions or resolutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor O'Neill. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8E. So moved.
Heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? The vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. 8E is the warrant for the state election, November 8th. So before councilors leave tonight, I believe we need to sign that.
Yep. The clerk just wants to clarify that motion was to receive and approve. And then
receive and approve, yes, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. No further motions.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, under, excuse me, under suspensions of rules, go to item 8A, which is a transfer of special permit 15-2020, the Boston Muslim Cemetery Corporation, 530 Lowell Street. 8B, I'm sorry, what did I say, 8A? 8B, and ask that, and approve that, but I would like the building inspector to notify the new special permit holder of condition 1 on that permit, That was supposed to be large green arborvitaes and to be placed along the frontage of Lowell Street. They did put shrubs there. They weren't large green arborvitaes, but they're all dead now, so I'd like them to make sure that they take care of that. So moved.
You have the motion from Councilor Gamache. All in favor? Any opposed to the vote? Councilor Gamache.
Yes, 9A, under suspension of the rules, 9A, banner request, Bergeria Research Foundation, 200 Lake Street, Unit 102, in the Peabody Veterans Memorial High School, Stage 1, 46 Glendale Ave. Move approval, all papers being in order.
That's motion to receive and approve item 9B.
Yes.
All in favor? Any opposed to the vote? Councilor Gamache.
No further motions, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. Councilor Turco.
I'm going to defer back to Councilor Welton for 9A.
Welton.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Mr. Chair, I'd like to request that item 9A, block party request, 7 Batchelder Ave to 30 Batchelder Ave on October 28th, be approved, all papers being in order. So moved.
You heard the motion from Councilor Welton. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Thank you, Councilor Welton.
One more also. Item 8C, transfer of special permit for Tara Prescott and Patrick Lord, plat du jour catering, 297 Lynn Street. Move to approve, all papers being in order. So move.
You heard the motion from Councilor Welton. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Councilor Turco.
I have no motions.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think the only thing we have outstanding under suspension of the rules is to receive item 7B from the mayor, a proclamation to support your local Chamber of Commerce Day on October 19th, 2022. Otherwise, no further motions.
You heard the motion from Councilor Daigle. All in favor? Any opposed to the vote? Also, Councilor Daigle, just as a housekeeping item, we're going to receive item 8B. I'm sorry, well, we can do with, yep, I'm sorry, excuse me, 8D, Councilor Peach's comments regarding the Committee of the Whole. Councilor Peach, you want to make that motion? All right. Oh, okay, yeah. The clerk has informed me we have to accept it at the regular meeting. I know, so I'm going to take that as a motion from Councilor Daigle.
So moved.
All in favor, any opposed to vote? With that being said, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you.